Out there, legal warriors, do you ever wonder how it would be possible to feel comfortable walking in to a criminal court hearing about what that might be like, what it might feel like, and ways to make that more tolerable? Well, if you're interested in this type of area, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington state for more than 20 years. I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people will get the help they need. Now, as always, I'm going to jump right into it. How is it that anybody could feel comfortable and feel less anxious about being accused of a crime and having to go to court? How can you walk into court and not be a nervous wreck? How can you log into a Zoom hearing and not be a nervous wreck? How can you get prepared to speak to the judge and not be a nervous wreck? I mean, so many people that contact us just cannot sleep. They're so nervous about what's going to happen. And the unfortunate thing is that the people in the system that do it all the time, the attorneys and all that, we sometimes lose touch with that because we're not nervous. It's just sort of normal to us because we know what to expect. So in this video, I sort of want to cover what it is you should expect if you're going to be going to a court date. So let's assume that you're going to a criminal court date, either an arraignment or a pretrial. Here's what not to expect. You're not going to have to talk about what happened. In fact, if you try to talk about what happened, you're going to get tackled by a defense attorney or the judge is going to tell you to stop because anything you say in a court hearing about what happened, that can be used against you by a prosecutor later. So you're not going to have to talk about what happened. You don't have to have a speech prepared and stuff like that. What is going to happen? Well, likely what's going to happen is the legal professional that's with you, and if you don't bring one, there's likely a public defender there, at least for that hearing. They're going to have prepared you by saying, hey, sign this form, or hey, this is what speedy trial rights are. We're going to extend those when we get a continuance, things like that. So at most, what we would expect is the court may say, Mr. or Ms. Defendant, do you understand your advice of rights at arraignment? That would be a paperwork at an arraignment that someone, a lawyer would have went over with you. And you say yes or no. Probably yes. And, hey, defendant, do you understand what the maximum penalties are? Well, you've probably been told that, yes. And then, hey, defendant, how do you plead? Well, you might be required to say not guilty, but usually if there's an attorney there, they'll say, Judge, we plead not guilty. So that's pretty much all you have to do. And the rest is up to the legal people that are there, right? And there might be some other people in the courtroom, but they're worried about their own cases. They're not worried about you. What about if it's on a Zoom hearing, right? What if this is a court date by Zoom, a pre-trial by Zoom, or even an arraignment by Zoom? That's pretty nerve-wracking, you might think also, right? Well, it's pretty similar stuff you're going to be expected to say. You might have to answer a question. Do you understand this? Yes. Is this what you want to do? Yes or no? And likely you will already have been explained that by an attorney. If it's on Zoom, you might have a breakout room. If you've not met the attorney before, that's a private Zoom the court can put you in with an attorney. If you have an attorney, you've probably already went over with your attorney prior to the hearing what it is that's going to happen. And the most common outcome of a court hearing is just another court hearing. Okay. So if it is a Zoom hearing, what you're going to want to do is, keep your camera off and yourself muted until you hear your case called. And then when your case is called, you turn your camera on, you unmute if you're in a quiet area, and you might have to say, yes, I understand. No, I don't. You're not going to need to talk about the case, and your attorneys will do the arguments for you. So how you feel comfortable is knowing what to expect, knowing that that this court sees hundreds of cases a week, and if you appear and behave like a reasonable, rational person and answer questions that are simple rationally, that's pretty much all that's going to happen during the hearing. That's how you can feel confident coming in, knowing what to expect. Are there times when you might have to talk about something? You might at the end of the case. If you have a case that unfortunately results in a guilty finding against you, a plea of guilt or a finding of guilt, then you have a chance to speak to the court during sentencing. So hopefully this doesn't happen. Hopefully you get an outcome where you don't have a sentencing hearing. But if you are required to speak or do have the option to speak, you're not required to. And absolutely, you would totally expect that whoever's representing you will have went over, what you might say, what you might plan to say, and then try to improve what it is that you might say to have a better effect on who you're trying to affect, which is typically the judge, to make sure your sentence is as good for you as it can be given the situation. So what are some misperceptions that people have about court? Some people perceive, hey, the police officer's going to be there and they're going to judge me and they're going to be there to point fingers at me. No, that's not true. The only time you're going to see a police officer there for your case is if there's a motion hearing where your attorney's challenging the evidence and it's still, they're not going to talk about evidence, or if it's at a trial. And those things are very unusual in the criminal system nowadays. Another misperception is going to be that, everybody in the room is going to be so mad at me. That's normal. We might feel that way, but it's not really how it works. For the most part, it's just another case. The other defendants are worried about their case, and us people in the system, especially if we've been in a long time, we don't have judgment about why you're there. Things happen, and we're trying to assert your rights, and we're trying to make sure that a good result is had that makes sense for you and hopefully the whole system too, and hopefully everyone can align there. I think the final misperception about what happens in court is it's all about money, right? All the court wants is money, all the prosecutor wants is money, stuff like that. If there's fines and stuff in a court case, the court doesn't get to keep that money, right? The court, the prosecutor certainly doesn't. The court typically ends up with probation costs they can use to, monitor cases, but fines and stuff like that, those don't benefit the court or the prosecutor. It's just part of the system as a way of punishment outside of imprisonment, right? And I think most of us would, if we had a choice between paying a fine over time or imprisonment, we'd probably pay the fine. So I think that's another misperception about court. So to feel comfortable going to court is you want to know what to expect. How you find out what to expect is hopefully talk to your attorney. If you don't have one yet, hopefully this video has helped you to know what to expect. It's just simple questions about procedural issues that will be explained to you in the court. You're not going to need to talk about what happened in court. In fact, the court will stop you if you try. So if you found this video useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get the help they need. More importantly, if you have a criminal matter in Washington State, feel free to give my office a call. We'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.